folks. I'm Mike, and I hope you are. Welcome to Fix My Mix, episode 22. I'm so glad to have you here so that we can listen to some mixes from the community and help our fellow music makers along by giving them a different perspective on their mix so that they can hopefully get to the stage where they're going to release their music to the world. And if they do release their music to the world, I really hope that they follow this link, which is in the description, and use DistroKid, who are our sponsors for today's show. A huge thank you again to the people who are joining us live in the chat. You make this a show, a live show. It's so good to have you here. And of course, I will be absolutely welcoming your input today as we listen to some of the mixes. Now, if you have sent your mix in and you haven't heard it on the show yet, I promise you I am getting through them. And even if you sent it in many weeks ago, sometimes those mixes are still coming through. And if you would like to send a mix in for the show, please do make sure you follow the instructions down below in the description. Whether that is what you regard as a pretty good mix, or whether you're just starting out and you're not very confident about it, you want some guidance, doesn't matter what level you're at, doesn't matter what kind of genre of music you play, none of that matters. We are here to listen to mixes of all kinds. So I do encourage you to follow the instructions in the link down below and pop me an email about the mix that you're working on and want some advice on. I almost didn't make the show on time. I guess I was a little bit late, wasn't I? And that's because I was having a tremendously interesting chat with my guest, and we were getting a bit carried away. And you know what? I might even bring some of the content of that chat into the show today, because it's always my guests. We always have great conversations before and after the show. I'm not so sure about so much in the show sometimes. Anyway, I shouldn't say that. But I am absolutely pleased and delighted to have my guest for today's show. He wasn't in the title, actually. I didn't get that far. It was a little bit last minute. But he is one of my favourite guests, and his name is Ricky T. Brown. And there he is. Hey, Ricky.
Evening all.
Evening for you, that's right. Evening. Ricky, let's just say hi to some of the folks in the chat. She's going to hate me for this. She's going to hate me. Hello to the produce aisle. Yes, I'm here ready to do some crass commercialism for you. She's never going to live it down. She was on my show, Ricky, and she yes, had a little comment about my DistroKid adverts. All in the best taste. We of course do have Doug in here. Thanks, Doug. You're just faithfully here every single week, and all around the community.
He's a top boy. He is. I'm telling you,
he's
top lad.
He's Dan's channel. He's on Pete's channel. I like to think I was the originator of the Doug phenomena. And then I allowed him to spread out through the community like a virus. Sorry, Doug. And now we have also Mimo Japan, who is a rock solid member of this community. Thank you for being here again, Mimo, doing the moderation, all the amazing things that Mimo does. We have E Short Sax, who had a song on here last week or the week before. I can't remember. It was pretty recently. We have Danny Gable here as well, who may or may not have one of his songs on this show today. Just a little heads up.
Top sausage.
Hello to House Merlot from New Jersey. It sounds wonderful. I don't know about you, Ricky. You're in. Are you like in Croydon or something like this, or I don't know where?
No, that's where I'm from originally.
Oh, that's where you're from.
Yeah, I live in West Sussex now.
Yeah, West Sussex. I'm in little old Perth in Western Australia. When I see places like New Jersey, it just sounds so cool and exotic, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it?
It does, hey. But anyway, thank you all for being here, and do not forget that your input is extraordinarily important in the chat while we are listening to the music today. I do want to say a little bit of a special thank you here at this moment in time. I'm going to be careful about how much I say. I did say in some of my social media stuff that there was an illness in the family, or some family illness. I think some people may have misconstrued that. So I haven't been sick, but I do have a close family member who's really not well at the moment, and so a lot of my time is spent going to hospital and things like that. But I do want to say amongst that, and that's as much as I'm prepared to say about it, but I want to say amongst that that people have been tremendously supportive, and specifically I want to say a big thank you to some of my mates who are in this community. Many of them are regular guests on this show, including Ricky here, who's been a massive support to me. I see Dan Lonely Rocker has also been a great support to me over the last couple of weeks. Pete Johns as well, a big support to me. Marlon, Ed. I just want to let people know, behind the YouTube channels and behind things like Fix My Mix here, these are people, like real, rock solid people, great friends, and incredible to me. And what we were discussing, Ricky, a little bit before this was how much this had in common with a musical collaboration. How I am only able to cope with life through the experiences I've already had, and through that, and then my friends can come along and give me insights and ideas that I wouldn't have come up with myself. And in this case, coping through a difficult part of life, but to draw the parallel, this is something that happens creatively as well. And but I do want to say a big thank you to you personally, Ricky, as well, for the time you give me in the last couple of days.
And, listen, don't mention it. That's what friends are about, mate.
No, it's very, very grateful anyway. And anyway, let's go on with the show. We've got some interesting pieces of music been sent in, as always, Ricky. And I want to start off with a song. I want to say there's 3 quite different pieces of music today. And I'm going to say, and I say this sometimes at the beginning of a show, because we get a range of music that sometimes things seem almost complete, and our job is just to go, keep going in that direction. I'm going to stick my neck out a little bit here today. Haven't had a quick listen to these 3 mixes, and say these 3 are in need of a little bit more help than some things I have on the show, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. And that's I like this part of the show when things are, in my opinion at least, really do need some input and help. Anyway, the first one is from Stephen. I should let you read this out, shouldn't I, Ricky? Of course, it's your duty.
That's my job.
That's your job. So here we go, an easy one for you.
Okay. The artist is Stephen Basu, and the song Always in My Heart.
There you go. So here we go. He sent me an email. It said, "Hi Mike, a couple of months ago I sent a song which you and the Lonely Rocker didn't like because it was too synth and 80s based. So I've decided to send you another one which is a lot more organic, just to show that there are more strings to my virtual bow. The song started out in my head as a Bon Jovi style ballad, but somewhere along the line went into a little more country. It's a way of me saying to my ex-wife that I've forgiven her for the hurt that she caused me, and that she'll always have a place in my heart. Please, I would love to hear how I can improve the song, the mix. I'm 56 and I've been doing this for only the last 2 years since COVID lockdown. So let's have a listen to this song from Stephen Basu, the second one on the show. Here we go.
Okay.
Always there for you, whatever it may be. So much time has gone by. It doesn't matter that we're years apart. You're still the biggest part of me. Always in my heart, always on my mind. You make me feel like home, even though we're apart. If you're ever down or feeling blue, I hope it's me you're looking into. Always in my heart, always on my mind. You make me feel like home, even though we're apart. Always in my heart, always in my soul. You make me feel like home, even though we're apart. I want to call you, see how you are, but you got your life, so I don't. I want to carry on loving you, but your new life is yours, so I won't. Always in my heart, always on my mind. You make me feel like home, even though we're apart. Always in my heart, always in my soul. You make me feel like home, even though we're apart. Always in my heart, always on my mind. You make me feel like home, even though we're apart. Always in my heart, always in my soul. You make me feel like home, even though we're apart.
Alrighty, thanks so much for that, Stephen Basso. Ricky, you
Yeah.
think I'm going to ask you for your opinion, don't you? But I'm going to mix things up and I'm going to go first.
Okay, you go first
I'll
then.
go
Your
first.
show.
I know
Yeah.
it would be like remember when we used to have the three amigos, me, you, and Dan here.
Oh
And,
yeah.
Dan always used to take all your talking points, didn't he? Before you
Yeah,
got a
it
chance
did
to-
it the
yes,
bastard.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's there in the chat as well. Hi to Marlon as well.
Ah,
Nice to see White Noise
hey.
Studio in here. Those guys are kicking goals actually. White Noise Studio and the Lonely Rocker. They're doing pretty well at the moment. Very proud of them. They're going great.
Yeah.
Now listen. This is what I want to sort of say about this song here. I hope I don't cover too many of your talking points, Ricky. So
That's all
first of all, I mean, songs are a bit of a matter of opinion in some ways with the actual song content. Not all songs are going to resonate with everyone, and some are going to resonate strongly with some people. But I will say, just in a basic level, like it or not, this was a song. It sounded like a song. It had. I didn't listen to the lyrics intently, but I got a sense of that there was some real meaning in there to the song. There's some emotional content, and it had a hook to it. So that kept you there. The hook was repetitive, but not too repetitive. So there were some variations in there. So overall, I think good songwriting, regardless of whether you enjoy the style or not. So I'll commend Stephen on that. You've got an ability there, which is probably natural, which some people struggle with. So you keep
Yeah.
going there. I also don't mind. I think you actually got quite a nice tone to your voice, actually, as well. Again, it would be a matter of opinion, but yeah, it's nice that someone said it sounded like my voice. Did you
Yeah,
see
it
that?
did
Yeah.
actually.
That was a surprise to me. I didn't think it sounded like me, but
There's similarities, yeah.
I could sort of judge it, but you'd never hear your own voice properly anyway. Now, so that's good. And some pretty decent guitar work in there and all that sort of stuff. So there's lots of good stuff going on there. But I'm going to go for the kind of low-hanging fruit, in my opinion. Oh, sorry, I also forgot to mention just one more thing on the good side, that there was some good dynamics in there as well. There was some not a couple of bits that just dropped down nicely, and that gave it a chance to lift. But the low-hanging fruit, the very low-hanging fruit for me is timing issues. which were in there. And I know this is a mixed show, but we can't ignore these things. There were just some timing issues in there, which it seemed to be between the rhythm guitar and the drums. I'm pretty sure these were programmed. This is something we were talking about before the show, actually, Ricky, about virtual instruments and things. And
Mm.
recently, when it's been when we've been critiquing things here and there, I've thought I've almost said to people, "Oh, the drums were programmed pretty well, or not very well." And afterwards, I thought, "Were they programmed drums?" I'm not, you know what I mean? It's getting like that a little bit now, isn't it? But anyway, yeah, I thought that there was a little bit of looseness in there as well, which I like looseness in drums, but there was a couple of bits where it got a little bit too loose for me. That's playing stuff. So the one I know people have said things about reverb and some things like that in there. Ricky might talk on that.
Mm.
There was just one more thing, just in terms of a detail. There was a very hard panned a rhythm guitar, electric guitar,
Mm.
on the right side. It threw the mix out of balance for me. I don't mind it being so hard panned, but I felt like the whole thing became a little bit weighted towards that side. I believe personally it needed to be balanced out with something on the other side. Not always another guitar. You don't have to do that double guitar and thing, but it could have been a keyboard on the other side or something that, yeah, just helped the whole thing feel a bit balanced. So I don't know, Ricky, you might have an opinion on that. But the final thing I want to say is, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the smiley face EQ. Years ago when I was gigging, it was a real big temptation on your PA when you were setting it up to do an overall smiley face. Boost on the low end.
Scoop.
Hey,
Yeah, the scoop. The
there's, yeah,
scoop.
yeah, the mid scoop, and the low end is a bit up, the high end's really up. And the thing about that is the reason a lot of people do that is because there's a kind of a pleasant feel to that. It makes it feel a bit nice.
Mm.
But the issue with it is you lose so much definition. You've taken all this information out of the middle, and it had a little bit of feeling. Maybe people can agree or disagree with me, but I had this feeling of this smiley face EQ across this whole track. And it felt like it lost quite a lot of definition in the mid-range for me. I don't know quite what's causing that. Ricky, I'm going to hand over to you and
Yeah.
see what you feel about
Okay.
all
Well, first and foremost, it was a really nice song.
Hmm.
I mean, I guess it helped, when from the the biog info about what motivated him to do that, and yeah, it's a nice, meaningful song, and I've to to be blunt, I guess
Mm.
if I were the gentleman, I'd think, right, okay, then, well, where the song's at right now, to me, it sounds like he may need another run at it because, yes, there are the issues that were pointed out, maybe a couple of timing issues on the guitar. But I felt there was more fundamental than that. Um, the the arrangement in terms of what happens in the verses and what happens in the choruses. Um, there needed to be more to differentiate it apart from the guitars, which were quite full during the choruses. Because I think this song lent itself quite well to like a nice little grand piano in the background, kind of thing,
Right.
just holding a pad down
Yeah, right.
for the vocal to sit on, and the reason why you hear that a lot is because magical things happen when you've got a vocal melody sitting on a set of chords in the arrangement, because you get nuances that you won't get, in the absence of it, kind of thing. So maybe, yeah, have some have something that's holding like a pad sound. It could be a piano. Maybe that's what came to me. And also, it would be good, for me, it would be good choruses, especially if it's a second chorus, maybe add some strings in there because strings help to raise the emotion of the track, because that's why it
It's
streams. So
interesting to
usually,
me. So
yeah,
just to sort of recap, because I did have a little bit of a thought the same as you. Like this
yeah,
might be. Again, I don't want to be too harsh. But this is
mm,
almost like a demo of the song to me.
yeah,
And you could go,
that's,
right, yeah, this is sort of proved a bit of a proof of concept. This song can
yes,
work, but we kind of need to start from the ground up again. And you're painting a picture of quite a
yes,
traditional arrangement, actually, like a piano,
mm,
drums, some strings.
yeah,
I'm thinking like the Verve or something here, or
yeah,
something like, but and I can hear that in my head, Ricky, and it works
yeah.
really well
Yeah,
with
so
this song.
what you've got so far, I'm sorry, what's the gentleman's name again?
His name's
It's
Stephen Basu.
Stephen, if you're watching, yeah, you've it's all there. It's really for to embellish it in the right places and maybe tidy up some of the bits where, you might have been slightly out of time.
Mm, 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 mm.
Um, tidy those things up. And then I think from a vocal point of view, you've got a nice tone, but I think you'd do it better if you did it again because you know the song better,
Right.
and that would definitely help. With your timing, because I felt in places that okay, you're getting the words out, you're getting the melody out, but you're not 100% with the timing when you're doing that. So I think
Yeah, yeah.
look, it's we've got an interesting role here. Is that it's not to bring anybody down and feel good about maybe not saying maybe saying less positive things about the work that you've put in. I
Mm,
mean, clearly I can hear that,
mm,
but just to help you get it over that, those final 50 yards of saying, yeah, this is ready for people to hear.
mm.
And when it is ready, it's something that I can be proud of.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
to just
absolutely.
tidy up those little bits that our viewers have mentioned, and maybe some of the points that I've made there. It will help to make what is already a good song even better.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. Yeah,
so
yeah,
you know, have another go at this.
yeah. It's worth it.
Have
It's
another
worth
go
it.
at this.
Yeah,
There's
it's
more.
definitely worth it. The only thing I'd have to disagree with Stephen in there is just looking at your email again. I'm not hearing any Bon Jovi or country in there, Stephen. So that goes to show you different perspectives. Different perspectives. We hear different things, but there you
I think there was a little bit of Bon Jovi in the chord progression. Because
go.
if you put his voice on that chord progression, yeah, you could kind of hear that there is some level of symmetry there, but no, you don't sound like him. You sound like you, and I think maybe that's a thing to focus on. I mean, we all have an opinion about how we sound, but
Yeah, exactly. I'm just
well,
going to
if you
grab. I'm
do
just.
sound like anybody, it's Mike.
I don't know. Talking about that, I'm just going to grab my guitar. Pete Johns is in the chat.
Oh no, not again.
That's not the introduction I was hoping for, Ricky. Oh
Oh
no, not
god,
again.
that's a nice segue, wasn't it?
I
Okay.
guess after I watched the replay last time, I thought you can hardly hear my guitar. It's not ideal. This I should really prepare for these things. As much as anything, people should know I actually have a gate on this microphone as well, right? So unless I get the guitar really close, it's not really going to work. But there you go. Pete Johns was here, and he was talking about you. Have you got your
Hey.
keyboard plugged in, Ricky? Have you got a keyboard plugged in?
Oh, you can see it, can't you?
You can just see it. It's not plugged in though. So we'll have to arrange that
No.
for next time, Pete Johns.
Oh
Do you want to
no.
give me? Do you want to give me a key, Ricky?
Okay. We'll go for G this time.
Oh god, the people's key of G. Okay.
Hey.
And let's have a second chord. Let's just give me a second chord, any chord.
G. B.
Danny Gable said E flat in there. What are you trying to do to me, Danny? On an acoustic guitar. I'm gonna. You want B, do you? Oh my god.
Yeah. B major.
B major. Can I do B
Yeah.
major 7 at least?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to
that's
play
nice.
Creep now by Radiohead. Couldn't look you in the eye. That's a, you know, that's the chords you gave me. I feel like I'm on Pete John's show now. All right, let's do that then. We'll do a parody. We'll do that. We'll go for... Where would it go after that? Well, that's the wrong chord. All right, we'll use the chords of Creep and the melody of Creep spontaneously to make a DistroKid jingle. We should get in trouble for this, really, shouldn't we? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to use Steve Bassu's song, Always in My Heart, which is the one we just heard, wasn't it? Yeah. We'll mix it up, something to do with DistroKid. This is a DistroKid jingle, folks. You should use DistroKid. They're awesome. And we'll also then get into it, the title of the next song, which we're going to look at, which is from Daniel.
It's getting clever now.
I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm setting myself up for a catastrophe here. The next song, which is going to be after this, a song called The Motorcycle Song. How am I going to get that in? Oh, what have I done to myself? I should get you to sing this, really, shouldn't I, Ricky?
No, I'm not a singer. I'll say that up front, mate.
Really?
No.
A harmony singer?
I can hear them, but I can't sing them.
When you were here before, ripping Stephen's songs apart, just like the lonely rocker, that old Canadian tart. We're trying to be helpful, like the motorcycle song, which is just about to come up. We're trying to make it special.
Yay!
They're so flippin' special.
Special.
Then release on DistroKid, where you're gonna get so famous. Extended
For famous.
hang on, I have to hang while I think of a lyric. This is all Pete John's fault. Stop watching his channel as a way of punishing him for making me sing this jingle. That was really, honestly, quite terrible.
That was
wasn't
really
it?
good, man. Well done. Well done. Yeah, you
bad.
held it down. Yeah. Great stuff. Great stuff.
As somebody said, this is creepy. Thanks, Marlon.
White Noise Studio.
Dear me. We've got to laugh,
man.
haven't we? We've got to laugh. I do feel sometimes, Ricky, you can me get on a bit of a rant here. I do feel sometimes that music producers are a little bit serious about what they do.
Yeah. Can be. Yeah.
Can be.
Can be.
One of my favourite movies of all time is it's got, oh God, I've forgotten the title of the movie, and it's one of my favourite movies of all time. A guy called Glenn Hansard. Let me look up. No, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to do this. Glenn Hansard. I want to complete this reference. Glenn Hansard was in made a movie. He's an Irish musician, Glenn Hansard, a brilliant musician, really, really one of my favourites. And he was in a movie. Oh, somebody help me out here. I can't remember it. But anyway, watch that movie. There's a scene in it where the movie's called Once. They go into a studio, they as a band, they're recording their first demo, and there is a sound engineer in a local studio in there, and he is so stereotypical of local sound engineer engineer guys. Yeah. He's wearing black jeans and a black t-shirt. And while they're recording their track, he's going, "Yeah, great guys," and he's on his phone while they're recording, and he sits. Yeah. Anyway, he's suitably patronising and very jaded from recording people. Don't become jaded. If you get jaded, get out. Anyway, that was a bit of a funny old rant, wasn't it? Let's listen to the next piece of music. I haven't even got it teed up. I've been so busy chatting away here. This is, well, we did sort of announce it a little bit, didn't we, Ricky?
Yeah.
You read it out. Go ahead and read it out.
Right. This next one is by The Hoots, and the song is The Motorcycle Song.
The motorcycle song. Now, what I want to just mention here for you is that while this is by The Hoots, it is produced by someone who's in the audience now and a regular on this show. And that person is Danny Gable. So Danny sent this in to me. He said, "Hi, Mike. This song is recorded by a band called The Hoots from Ravenna, Ohio. And it's recorded in Reaper through a Tascam 1608 interface. You know, I've never used a Tascam interface. They have great specs. I've just never happened to have used them.
Oh, they're rock solid, you know.
Yeah. I've heard good things. Heard good things. Now, just a little bit of information so we give people due credit because it's from a band, obviously. So we have Donnie Root on guitar, Joe Hudak played guitar and sang lead, Rockman Johnny McAncheese on drums. These people have great names, don't they?
It's a cool names, yeah.
Conga T on percussion.
Hey.
And myself, with the very ordinary name, I guess, of Danny Gable, on bass and keyboards. Do you have a stage name, Danny, in all of this? Everyone else seems to have a stage name. Anyway, so he says, I also mixed this with Mr. Root on engineering duty. So quite interested to hear this. It's nice to have a band sound, I guess, to listen to, rather than the Lonely Rockers like the rest of us. Let's see how we go with The Motorcycle Song. All right, now let's get serious here, Ricky. Like serious record producer. But it sounds like everyone wanted to get in a bar while they were listening to that. I was hearing talk of beer and bars and goodness me, folks, calm down. We're in the serious business of music critique here. Ricky, I'll let you get I'll let you get going first, man.
That track was big fun, man. I
Yeah.
really like that, you know. Um, it had an interesting mix of vibes going on there. I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of 70s, and then the vocal, especially on the chorus, it kind of reminded me of yeah, there's a little bit of punkiness in there, yeah. Um, and I like the swing of it as well because you know it wasn't like a straight, you know, a 4/4 straight. It had like a nice dun, 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 almost momentary jazz going on in there as well. So, but most importantly, do you know something? There are some things that are created here that okay, do they really work? You know, from a you know a purely production point of view, and the way this sounded to me was like, you know, maybe it's the punkiness that I'm picking up there. Is that yeah, it kind of works like it is. You know, it works like it is. Now, the only, yeah, the only thing that I would say, maybe the vocal could be a little bit more present than the backing vocals. I think maybe push the lead vocal forward a
Yep.
little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, and the congas. You see, I got a special thing about the congas, yeah, because that's where I started. You know, I started my journey in music by playing percussion congas. So
Oh,
when you
really?
said
Did you?
congas, I
Oh.
was like, oh,
Well, you
all
bring
right
them
then.
on. You should bring them on for the next show. Then I want some percussion accompaniment with my jingles.
Yeah. So yeah. If you mix this again, bring the congas up, mate, because it adds to the swing of it.
I
But
didn't
I
notice the
got
congas. I'm with the
yeah.
mix club here.
You heard them right at the end though, when it was
Oh, okay.
when he done his roll on it. But yeah, this is a great track. This is a great track.
Yep.
Honestly, it just needs a little bit of tidying up, but the vibe, you
Yep.
know, I completely got that. As soon as that chorus kicked in, it was like, yeah, we're having fun. And I closed my eyes for a moment and, you know, I'm thinking about the title of the song. And yeah, man, I felt the wind going through my hair. Since I haven't got any. But yeah.
Hey, Ricky does a big reveal there on the show. Let's have another look, Ricky.
But anyway, a little bit of tidying up. I don't think anything really needs to be done again. I like the quirkiness of this one, and sometimes the creature is what it's meant to be, and I think this is one of them.
Okay, cool. I'm going to be ever so slightly less complimentary,
Okay.
although I did put in my notes that this did its job, and I had a little bit to say about that EQ again overall, just as an overall kind of picture of it. This is almost like the opposite of the last track. The last track had that scooped middle feel to me. This had like an almost pronounced mid feel to it, you know, which is not. This is not good or bad actually. I'm just saying what I noticed. It's really up to Danny and his mates what they're going for, what they're. It's partly about intention with me for this track, right? So it's interesting that you brought up punk, because I was going to use a couple of punk examples here to me. So initially I was going to say that there's certain areas of this track which could be produced in a more contemporary way, right? That this sounds a little bit lo-fi kind of thing. But I guess I'm going to talk more in terms of reference tracks. Reference tracks are really important. So, Danny, this is up to you, but I would say to yourself, as reference tracks, are you going to use the Sex Pistols or are you going to use Green Day? Yeah? because there's two things about those contrasts, right? Green Day are a much more produced version of modern punk. Arguably, some people might say they don't like Green Day because of that, because it's a little bit too contrived and nice. Whereas the Sex Pistols sound like a bunch of guys in a garage who could barely play their instruments, banging it out. And you could, on different days, I would say I would much rather listen to the Sex Pistols than Green Day. And then again, and I'm there, right? So, yeah, it's all a matter of intention. What do you want to get? You know, different listeners are going to want different things. You'll never please all people. So you got to go with, you know, so if the intention of the production of this track was more on the Sex Pistols side of production, then you kicked goals, you did it, and that was all good. The only thing I will say was, and some of you may have mentioned it in the chat, I'm not sure if it was to do with the stream or with the way that Danny made the MP3 that he sent me, but particularly say the cymbals in this sounded a little bit crushed in not a pleasant way. That kind of the thing that you can get on streams, and when there's, you know, just with a low bit rate has been used for something, is a little bit of an unpleasant thing going on with the high end, in my opinion, anyway. But as I say, Danny, that may just be to do with the file format that's been used and what's been sent to me. So you're the best judge of that if you go back and revisit it in terms of listening to your master and figuring that out. Any other comments there, Ricky? What's your feedback for my feedback?
Yeah, this one's one of those worms, man. It's
there, isn't it? It's in your head. Yes.
Yeah, it's
there,
in
isn't
there,
it?
man.
Yeah.
It's in
I felt
there.
the same about the first song.
Yeah.
Actually, it had a good
Yeah.
it had a good hook to it as well. You know, it was just half the battle anyway. But yeah, I think that it was a very appropriately titled song as well. It's called The Motorcycle Song. It just
It's brilliant.
I
love it. I love it. Yeah, they really captured a moment there, you know. With the punky thing, and then not everything being in perfect balance. You know, I just got these images of like beer cans being thrown about and stuff like that. It's just a fun track. It's
carpets
a fun
on
track.
the walls. Carpets on the walls in a dark, dingy, slightly smelly studio.
Yeah, you don't need to be cool to appreciate this one. It's just fun, and you know, good job with that song. Honestly,
Okay.
I really enjoyed that.
All right, and well, I you know, if you do want to improve this song at all, Danny, I hope that we helped. But if for no other reason than just to, you know, I guess you may just feel convinced, yeah, I was on the right track. I achieved what I wanted to achieve, and that's great. And if there's some slight variations you want to make, then I hope we were at least somewhat helpful. Even though we were a little bit vague in our critique here, but that's all right. That happens once in a while. Let's go. Let's relieve or relieve ourselves from any more in spontaneous jingles and actually have something that I prepared earlier. Submit your music to the DistroKid Spotlight feature. It gets entered into this competition where it gets played alongside other songs, and people will vote for which of the two they see on the screen is their favourite. Now, the better you do in this process, the more likely you are to appear in one of DistroKid's playlists on Spotify, and that means your music's got a much better chance of being heard. So you simply go ahead and select one of your songs, and then you've just got to select a 29-second clip, the best part of the song. It would be the best way to go with this, and you've got this nice sort of interactive feature here to do that. You simply then select the Connect with Spotify button, and you're away. Oakley dokely. On to the final song for today's show. And I said everything was going to be a bit different. This is definitely a bit different. Now, one thing I have to remember, I've got on my notes here that I have to turn this one down. I think this may have been mastered a little bit, which is why it's quite a lot louder than it was. Quite loud. Now, so this song, Ricky, I'll let you read out the artist's name and song title here.
Okay, the artist is Malcolm Adams, and the song is Flying.
You have had some easy artist names to read out today.
I have, haven't I?
When I pick the songs for the next show that you're on, I'm purposefully going to find things from India and Saudi Arabia or something like that.
Thanks.
Just to yeah, just
Yeah.
to push your limits of
No
reading.
tongue twisters.
Anyway, this Malcolm was saying he's originally from the UK and now lives in Spain and enjoying life. That struck me right away, Ricky. It was like, I used to live in the UK, but now I live in Spain and I'm enjoying life. Read
Yeah.
into that what you will. I played my first gig at the age of 15 in the UK. A school friend knocked on my door and said that they had a gig the following night. I was interested in having a go, so we got down to work and got 12 songs together or so. That was the first gig we did. We had to repeat the songs a few times. Have you ever been? Were you in that situation when you were younger, Ricky? Where you ever only had a few songs and you had to repeat them?
Oh yeah, the
Yeah,
first one,
yeah.
and you'd wear the tape out. Yeah. Look what I done.
The first time I actually played in public, I was on the Isle of Wight in England. I was 10 years old, and my brother was doing the Guinness Book of Records challenge, and he was going to play Monopoly break the record for playing it for the longest period of time. And him and his friends played Monopoly for 19 days non-stop in a hotel, in the lobby of a hotel. And they'd written a song called Advance to Go. And they gave me some lyrics and said, could you make a song out of this? And I was, like I said, I was 9 or 10 at the time, and I chucked a few chords on there. And I stood outside that hotel and played that song over and over and over again on the streets there. Little 9, 10-year-old Mike, and made a bit of money for the charity at the time. There you go.
Well, that's good. That's good. That's good.
Anyway, carrying on from my life story back to Malcolm's. They did their gig, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, Malcolm. There was a big gap in my playing. But in year 2000, I moved to Spain and got some gear and started to do solo gigs. The money was okay, and I got free beer. I'm going to talk about this, got some gear and started to do solo gigs. I'm going to come back to this later after we've listened to the song. In time, I got a band together and we called it the Soggy Bottom Band. Love the band name. There was a few changes, and we played in the Costa Blanca for 16 odd years. It became quite popular and we had a good following. I used Cakewalk, and you, Mike, have been a great help for me to understand the ins and outs. Thank you very much, Malcolm. Let's have a listen to Malcolm's song, which is, of course, called Flying.
To see you. Everybody's here that you could know. Don't be afraid, 'cause I will catch you. Your time has come, together we will go. We will fly. We will fly. We will fly. We will fly. Don't look back, your future is expanding. Take your time, the best is yet to show. Fill our hearts with love and understanding. Your time has come, together we will go. We will fly.
Alrighty. Again, just a different song again. With very nice variations in music we're getting here today, Ricky. So
Yeah.
I'll let you go first. Let's do it sort of
Okay.
together. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah. Okay. I really like that.
Mm.
It's one of those that everything is kind of there. But, you know, in this case, I think it's there are a couple of things. I mean, certainly at the beginning of the song, I felt that there was too much of a level change from where the guitars, because it starts with the guitar,
Mm.
the rhythm track, and then when it comes to the verse, it goes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's like,
That's in
where'd you
my
go?
notes too. Yeah,
Where'd you
exactly
go?
that. Exactly that in my
uh,
notes. It was a very distinct. Oh, we could almost see the fader going. Phew,
yeah,
guitar going down. Yeah. Yep.
yeah, and I think maybe, certainly on the intro, the first part of the song, um, the guitar was maybe a little bit too affected. I think. I think it would have been nicer. Um, if you had a bit more of the actual guitar tone coming through rather than the effects, you know, I think it felt a little bit, to me, it felt a little bit swamped. The
Mm-mm.
guitar part is right, is nice, but
Mm.
yeah, just a little bit less effect and less of a, you know, a level drop kind of thing. One other thing though, this would have been so creamy, yeah, if it had a bass line on there. Now I know that he was like there was a bass on there and it was kind of like
Mm-mm.
noodling, but
Mm-mm.
I think this definitely would have benefited from the bass, you know, holding the root notes of the chords
Yeah,
as
I
you're
mean,
going
it's
through.
funny because there was this sort of noodling bass, which in itself was sort
Yeah.
of fun and
It was
interesting and
nice, yeah.
nice. Yeah, but you almost
Um,
felt like if it was just going dum, 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 it would have rooted that whole song
yeah,
down.
yeah, it
Yeah.
would have just held it
Yep.
down.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
True.
but other than that, it's really nice track. Yeah, kind of
Mm,
dreamy, you know, you instantly relaxed
mm,
once
mm,
you
mm, mm,
started listening
mm,
to it.
mm,
And I think you've captured the sentiment of the title definitely with this song, as in, you know, um, almost, well, it doesn't sound like it, but almost like an albatross kind of vibe
mm, mm,
going
mm,
on.
mm,
Yeah,
mm, mm, mm.
you can imagine yourself flying with this. So well done. Just a couple of tweaks, buddy. Yeah, get that bass line on there because that'll just like warm it up. Especially when you get to the choruses. Um, yeah.
I feel really bad now that you've said all that.
Why?
Because the stuff I'm going to say is a little less complimentary.
Oh, okay.
But I'll start. I know, and I'm not like I don't dig this idea of someone's got to say something good, someone's got to say something bad. But
No, no,
I
no.
guess at the end of the day, I've got to say something honest.
Mm.
So, first of all, to Malcolm, you're blessed with a really nice sounding voice, so that's a good thing. Like a really nice
Yes.
voice tone, and so enjoyed the voice, enjoyed the overall track, like this dreamy kind of feel to it. And again, different type of songwriting, but basically good songwriting there. Not that sort of not that very commercial hook based songwriting, anything like that.
Mm.
Most of the guitars I really liked. I didn't personally enjoy the tone of the lead guitar, which sounded very sort of DI to me. If you, lots of us use guitar amp sims, but you'll notice if you ever put a guitar into an amp sim but don't use a cabinet sim, so some of them that's separate, you get this really very DI'd fuzzy guitar sound. It's a bit too direct sounding for me. I just think it would have been nicer with like the other guitar tones were really nice, but I didn't really appreciate it. Could be just my opinion, because I think some people said in the comments that they really liked the guitar tone as well. So a bit of a matter of opinion, but I might give it a bit of that. A couple of people said that the lead guitar seemed a little bit out of tune. I've got to say, if it is, it's a little bit, because I may notice it on a second
notice
listen,
it.
but I didn't kind of notice it. Sometimes maybe the bends or things like that could have not been as accurate, but yeah, I'll take them on their word for that. Now, the thing that bothered me about the song, that I would change above everything else, if I could just change one thing in there, it would be what I'm going to call the drum machine, right? Because it didn't sound like a drum kit. It sounded to me like a drum machine. This is why I said earlier when we were talking about the email that was sent to me from Malcolm, because he mentioned that he was a solo player at some point. A lot of my mates, or not a lot of them, but a few mates over the years have got into solo playing, and it's very economical to go there with like some sort of backing track or drum machine or something like that. And I'm talking drum machine, right? Not I'm not talking 808s, which intentionally don't sound like
Real.
a real
Yeah.
thing, but there were some which mimicked a real thing, and they were trying to sound like a real thing, but on reflection they don't, right? And I think you can get desensitized to that if you're one of those guys that go out and play, and you do this out of necessity and economics, and you have this, and after a while, after a few years of doing that, you get a little bit desensitized to how unrealistic these things can sound. In my opinion, this is all my opinion, I'm afraid, Malcolm. But what I would encourage you to do is I would redo the drums on this, and I'd use like addictive drums or one of those kind of things. Even some of the free ones that I've reviewed on the channel as well. Some of the drums there's a free version of Stephen Slate, which is really good. Yeah, personally, I would have thought that this song for me would be more authentic to what I think it's trying to be if it had some, and even if you didn't do that, even if you didn't use, someone's mentioning easy drummer in there as well, that might be a good way to go. But I felt that these drums are on a loop. There was 4 bars written, and they just looped all the way through. And I think this song could be so much more than that dynamically. I really do. So yeah, that would be my thing. Now, this again, I have to come back to this. Is supposed to be fix my mix, not fix my arrangement or fix my composition. But I can't ignore these things. But yeah, there was some parts, as Ricky said, the most in terms of balance, the most noticeable thing was this change in volume with the rhythm guitar from the intro to just after the vocals came in. It didn't feel like a natural change, Malcolm. It was too much over too short a period of time. I also just felt here and there that lead guitar came in a little bit too loud in some parts as well, in some parts of the song. So again, those are the things I think need to be addressed. Ricky, you're looking at me as if I'm being a meanie here.
Yeah, you're being a Dan this week. Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say I was being a dick. I was saying we've never had a Richard on this show. What are you talking about? But anyway,
no. I'll tell you what. I mean, this is an interesting point. Discussing this track, because you see, though there are traditional ways of approaching things like drums and that kind of thing, but sometimes it's really about the individual sense of taste. You know, it might not be that he couldn't get hold of you know, a decent drummer or a decent plugin to do it. It might be deliberate because
Yes, I agree.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it could be.
even when I'm making my own stuff, and there are times where I say, well, actually, yeah, I'm going to do something unorthodox here. Yeah, and and you go with it if you think it works, kind of thing. But when I listen to it, yes, it was a bit loopy, but the whole thing was a bit loopy, if you know what I mean. And
Well,
it was,
well, can I put forward a different idea then? Because
yeah, yeah, go
that
on.
this did occur to me as well. That just I would have felt this was fun. That I've got a few favourite tracks actually. There's a track
Yeah.
I really like by a whole group called Delamitri, right? And they were very much a
Oh yeah,
band, but there was one
yeah.
track I think they used like a Casio VL tone, thing on there. It sounded really,
That's what I
really
mean.
cool, right? So I'll
Yeah.
get that, and if that's the intention, Malcolm, that's cool. But here's what I would say: if you did that, but then brought in some big, full-on do real drums later on in the track, the contrast of the two can also be very cool. I mean, this is a creative thing that's going to be down to
Yeah, do
taste.
you know
You see?
something? I wouldn't do that with it, Mike. I really wouldn't do that because the vibe of the song is laid out fairly clearly from the beginning,
Mm,
I wasn't expecting anything big, drums wise, to happen
mm,
as it was going along because you're just swaying along with it, kind of thing. But yeah, it sounded deliberate to me rather than he didn't have the ideas for a real sounding kit on there or the facilities for it. It was deliberate, and
mm, mm, mm.
personally, I was kind of happy with that because he was trying to do something different. So
Okay, I think we
yeah.
better rename this show from "Fix My Mix" to "Confuse the Hell Out of Me." No, this is all good. You see, this is all really, really good. And somebody
Mm,
just mentioned collaboration in there. I mean, this
yeah.
is what happens when collaborations happen, where one person says, "No, I think it should do this," and no, and most of the time, what happens is you give some of these different ideas a go, and then I don't know if you've ever had that feeling in the studio when you with band members or what have you, Ricky,
Mm.
when you sit back and you listen to one of these versions of an idea, there's usually a point where everyone goes, yeah, that's the one that works, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. That that
yeah,
that that happened in the past. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
yeah.
That's the money
I
shot.
mean,
Yep.
once in a while you can't agree, and then it comes down to an executive decision. But Malcolm, you might try any of those ideas, and you may end up with what you've already got, and think Mike is indeed a complete Richard. Um, I should know he's having a segment on the show, shouldn't we? Mike gets his Richard out.
Woo!
No.
It's
Um,
Richard. Yeah. Okay.
Any- I hope that was helpful to the people who sent their songs in this week. And if you, as I'm going to mention again, if you would like to send your mix in, I'll tell you what, the producer aisle is in here. Hey, producer aisle, you haven't sent a mix in yet. Let's have a listen. Send it in. We'd like to have a listen. But yeah, anyone who's listening, and thank you so much for being here, by the way, do send your music in. Yeah. Just want to quickly mention over on my Facebook group, and I put a post up there quickly yesterday to ask people to give us some examples of what they think is like their best work, their pinnacle of their work so far. I thought it'd
Ah.
be nice to celebrate because hopefully along the way after you've done things, most of us don't feel great about our work when we listen to it years later. But once in a while, and in my opinion, I've maybe got one song, maybe two songs where I think, yeah, I'm just really happy with that, right? It doesn't
Mm.
come too often. So I wanted people to give the opportunity to sort of sing their own praises a little bit. And so if you're not a member of my Facebook group, then join it and do. I haven't listened to any of them yet. I put it up at a weird time for me yesterday, but I noticed this morning when I opened it up, there was loads of submissions there, which I was really
Wow.
pleased to see. So I'm sort of thinking I might actually do a little bit of a featured artist segment within Fix My Mix next week, and perhaps pick one of those songs to play and just celebrate when we really, hit the nail on the head and have a good result. Thanks for the link there, Genre Music. Really appreciate you doing that. Thank you so much to Ricky T. Brown. My goodness,
Hey.
man, it's always good to have you on the show.
Always a pleasure, buddy. Always
One
a
of
pleasure.
my most requested guests, I have to say, as I said to you the other day. I
Oh, you can make me blush now. Stop that.
Again, thank you so much. I will try and get a video out on the channel this week. I'm torn between a free plug-in and doing some cakewalk tips. If I get time, it'll be out later than my normal schedule, folks, but it will get out at some point, I'm sure, this week, hopefully, fingers crossed. And I would like to say again, thank you to the people who've been in the live chat. If you're watching on the replay, also, I'm appreciating your comments there as well. Always really useful. I know people who've had their songs featured tend to go and look at the replay as well and look at the comments there. So if you've got a specific comment to one of the artists today and you're watching on the replay, definitely make sure you leave it down there. Wonderful. Thank you so much to everyone who's been here. And we will be back at the same time next week. Take care of yourself. Take care of